How are you, Miss Bridgewater?
How are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Always a pleasure seeing you.
Being here. It's gonna be my
An
favorite.
amazing day, okay?
Is it gonna be my favorite judge?
Today we have Judge Law.
Okay, awesome. That's my girl.
Yes, always.
What I would like to do, if for them two don't mind,
No, Milton, we're gonna go first.
Yeah,
uh,
we got go ahead, Daniel Barnett.
no,
Yeah.
if it's possible, I would like to do position 6 and 7, and then um, later at the end of the calendar, do position 13.
Milton,
Yes, ma'am.
stand by for me. We're gonna go first with Daniel Barnett. Is Daniel Barnett attorney on this? Is he waiting? We're trying to see if he's online because we also have the news here.
Okay.
So just stand by, Ms. Milton.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, what we can put him. It's
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Law, and we're going to begin with our first appearance calendar for misdemeanor cases. This is called the Expedited Accusation Calendar for individuals who were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Soon after being booked in, their cases have now been formally accused by the Solicitor General of Fulton County, who is the prosecutor in these cases. If you're a defendant charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, please remember you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Okay. Um, Courtroom 2. Who do we have, please?
Excuse me, Your Honor, before we get started, your reset date is going to be March 25th.
25th. And that's Tuesday?
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, Courtroom 2. Who do we have, please?
Daniel Barnett, but if you stand by 1 second, hold on 1 second.
Mhm.
Well, go ahead and start. Okay, wait.
Ms. Milton,
Yes.
you could go ahead with your, two.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is position 6 and 7, Ms. Harris.
Okay. This is Antoine Demetrius Harris, who is at FCSO ACDC 2.
No, Your Honor, excuse me. Blondie Harris,
Oh, this number 7.
number 7.
Oh, sound like you said 6
Oh,
and 7.
yeah.
All right.
Sorry. Okay, let's start again. This is State versus Blondie Harris, position 7. Miss Harris is accused of criminal trespass in case number 25 CR 001291B. Miss Harris, my name is Judge Law. I'd like to remind you that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you today is Mr. Michael McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
22 total. On probation out of the cab for 3 counts of shoplifting. 1 count criminal damage to property. 2025 trespass. 2024 trespass no-low. 2024 probation. 2023 FTA. 2023 trespass no-low. 2021 trespass conviction. 2 of them.
That's good. Thank you. Miss McCakey?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This incident happened yesterday at the Publix located at 2900 Peachtree Road in Atlanta. The defendant is accused of entering the location after having previously received a criminal trespass from there. The state's recommendation is for a $1,000 surety bond. That is based on her history, which includes several criminal trespass convictions. Stay away from the incident location. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol. We would also ask for a social worker visit in the event that she is residentially challenged and is in need of services.
All right. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Blondie Harris lives at Nectarine Circle in Decatur with 5 women, and there is a supervisor of the home. She is went to the 9th grade at Banneker High School, the old Banneker, not the new one. And Your Honor, for the rest of what I must say, I should go into a breakout room briefly with Your Honor and the state.
All right. Miss, who is hosting?
Miss Grace, Judge.
Grace, there you are. Okay, Miss Grace, could you place myself, Miss Mokeke, and Mr. McLean in a breakout? And in the meantime, would the other participants who are on Zoom put your full name on the screen? Okay, you Zoom user is not enough, Alex is not enough, and iPhone 16 is not enough. So if I don't see your full names when I come back, we will remove you. Anytime, Miss Grace. Thank you.
It's trespass.
All right, Miss Grace,
Yes, Judge?
you can put Alex in the waiting room and let me see, everyone else is good. Okay. All right, we are returning with Blondie Harris. Is there anyone on Zoom who is here in support of Blondie Harris? Anyone from her group home? All right. Presently, her bond is going to be set at $1,000 surety bond to stay away from the incident location. No further contact with Marvin Seals and Rodney Johnson. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and no weapons and firearms. Our next court date is going to be March 25th. And in the event that Miss Harris is released, she would need to be released to the caretaker of her group home, and she must seek her treatment within 48 hours of being released. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case. Oh, is courtroom 2 still waiting for folks? Okay, I have courtroom 1. Who do we have?
Well, we're waiting to be placed in the breakout room with the interpreter, the Spanish interpreter.
Mr. Dotis, would that be with you?
Yes, Your Honor. And interpreter Tolles?
She is, yes. All right, courtroom 1, Miss Tolles, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
You are going to see a little message on the screen to join a breakout with Mr. Dotis and courtroom 1, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Miss Cruz, why are you sending us a phone number?
Your Honor, that was supposed to be a direct message to me, I believe.
Oh, okay. All right, I think we're just going to be in well, Mr. Dotis is going to a breakout. So let me just go over the calendar to see who's representing whom. Position 1, El Sadi, who's that going to be with? Is that going to be with you, Mr. McLean?
Would be, Your Honor. I haven't met him because of the inefficiency. Going to see him in the jail would have been pointless. So I didn't ask to see him. It would have been only to tell him that he's got a Cherokee hold, which I think he already knows. He's already made bond. There's no point in us having a hearing. He's already made this bond.
All right, let him know then. Orrin Barnes?
I've got him.
Okay. And what about Daniel Barnett?
Don't know Daniel Barnett.
All right. Courtroom 2, let me know when you have everyone ready for me to address. Thank you.
Your Honor, I think position number 3 has private counsel.
All right. Well, we put a question mark there.
We can do position 5.
Position 5, okay. We have Jareed Grizzle, accused of battery, family violence from July 17th, 2024. Mr. Grizzle, your case number is 25 CR 1290Y. Please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you presently is going to be Mr. Michael McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
24. Open case from 2022 out of White County, ag assault. 2021 obstruction, fleeing, and officer conviction. 2016 possession of meth. Possession of a firearm by convicted felon conviction. Couple of probation violations from 2016 and an 08 FTA.
And I'm sorry, you said it was 24 cycles?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Fawcett?
Yes, Your Honor. The facts of this case are that the victim was leaving an apartment at the Shepherd Center when the defendant started arguing about photos on her phone. They were in her car at the time. The victim would not give the defendant her phone, so he pushed her head into the driver's side window. When she reached for her phone, he bit her finger. The victim pulled the car to the side of the road and they kept arguing until the defendant struck her in the face. The victim suffered an open cut, bleeding to her index finger and a cut to her upper lip. Our bond recommendation is a $2,000 surety bond and no further contact with Carrie Hatfield. And I would also like to sound from Ms. Hatfield at this time in case she's on the hearing on Zoom.
Ms. Hatfield, I don't see anyone by that name. The other person in the waiting room is an Alex. So, all right, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Mr. Grizzle is 38 years old. He lives in Cleveland, Georgia. At some point, the police report he said lived in Habersham County. He did not. He has 2 children, 18 months and 4 years. He intends to prevail at the trial in this case. Your Honor, his education is high school, White County High School, Cleveland, Georgia. 4 years in the Army from 05 to 09 with an MOS of diesel mechanic. And Your Honor, he is, I was trying to get his pastor on the line. There's just been some time constraints in getting hold of his pastor because he had the phone number of the church actually in his phone and didn't have it memorized. Your Honor, he lays fiber optic cable. He's done that for 2 or 3 years. Before that, he was a welder. And we'd ask the court for a signature bond. I would point out that this, the date of this allegation, and he says didn't happen, and it was reported, the alleged reporting was 10 days after the alleged occurrence. Thank you.
Bond is going to be set at $1,500. It is a surety bond. No further contact with Carrie Hatfield. He is not to reside with her. And I think they live somewhere. Was it? I can't remember. Do they share a property in Habersham?
No, that was the allegation. He denies that. He says he does not and has not lived with her.
All right, so as long as he understands he has to stay 200 yards away from her, he cannot cohabitate with her, and he definitely cannot communicate or talk with her. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. His next court date is going to be March 25th. If he does bond out, he'll need to make sure we have a current mailing address on him at all times. Thank you.
The Tulip Trail, he's had that for a long time for his address. It's accurate.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case, please.
Judge Law, give me a moment. I'm gonna go grab some other inmates.
Oh, no problem. Okay, going back to the calendar, Mr. McLean, position 4, Christian Doss. Do you represent him?
I do. I have his paper right here.
All right. And Antoine Demetrius, position 6.
No.
No. Okay. Would that be Mr. Dotis? I see Miss McLeod has also joined us. No. Okay. Question mark. All right. Blondie Harris. That was Mr. McLean. That's already been addressed. David Lowe, Lowe.
Your Honor, we have tried for several days to interview him. He's incompetent. We need to put him on the competency calendar.
This will be, I don't know if anything is available on the 20th. Are we good for the 20th at 11 a.m.?
If you, I'm sorry.
Ms. Bridgewater?
The next available competency calendar is actually the 27th. However, if you want it for the 20th, we can make it for the 20th.
I think it's best if it's the 20th at 11 a.m.
Gotcha.
Worker visit, and Mr. McLean, if y'all need to submit the evaluation request, please do.
Right.
With.
And he did have a social worker visit as well.
Okay.
And who is this for?
Position 8, David Lowe, that will be $1,000 surety. And to stay away from the incident location, no contact with the victim. All right, courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Position number 6, Mr. Harris.
Okay. Ms. McLeod, is that your client by any chance? Antoine Harris?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Deputy, did Mr. Harris speak to PD Dotis, Angelo Dotis?
I thought he talked to Ms. McLeod earlier, I'm not sure.
I believe to be correct.
All right, I think he's with PD Angelo Dotis, who is right now in a breakout. So I have to wait on that until his attorney is available.
So we can do, position 2, Mr. Barnes.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
The Orrin Barnes case number is 25 CR 1287C, accused of driving while license suspended or revoked. And this was from March 6, 2025. He's also got, I believe, an open pending felony case. Mr. Barnes, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court about your case or cases, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Michael McLean. Any prize?
23. 2012 suspended license conviction. 2010 suspended license no law.
And do you have his PI case number?
Nah, I'll check on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Fawcett?
Just a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. This is a case of driving without a suspended license with the date of offense being March 6th. Our bond recommendation is $1,000 surety bond.
All right. Oh, did he have that open pending felony, or was that? Oh, looks like it's been. All right, guess, Mr. Howard, let me know if it's been NOD'd.
I don't see a felony for Barnes.
Okay. Oh no, it was a theft by taking. Ms.
Oh,
Fox, did y'all NOD that
yeah,
case?
it's NOD.
Yes, that one is NOD.
All right, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, that reminds me, I was about to ask the court for permission in between cases, if it's too confusing for me to do it now, to apologize for my misstatement. I said the Grizzle allegations were 5 years old. This is the one I was thinking of. This was the theft by taking was 5 years old. Grizzle allegations, I think, were from maybe 2024.
Okay.
Number, so I apologize.
No, the driving while license is from March 6th, last week.
Right. Now, this Barnes case, the theft by taking was NOD because it's so old, I suppose. But driving while license suspended or revoked, we'd ask the court to send an appropriate bond. Let me tell Your Honor a little bit about him. His current address is Grove Way in Roswell, Georgia. He has, under the PSA, the public safety assessment, it said the FTAs were older, FTA singular or plural, whichever it doesn't designate, was older than 2 years. He's disabled. He's had a check for several years. Before that, he worked at a car wash. He went through 12 grades of high school and graduated, I believe. So we would ask the court to consider a signature bond. Thank you.
Okay. Bond is set at $1,000 surety. And no driving unless you have a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. I think the city court set his bond at $3,500, but it's currently, and if he does make bond, please remember to make sure you come back to court when summoned. Thank you.
Position number 11.
All right. Do you have more folks in courtroom 2 now?
Yeah, we have a few, with two of them for notice.
Okay. For those individuals who are presently in courtroom 2, my name is Judge Law. I'd like to remind you that when we address each of your cases, please exercise your right to remain silent, because anything you choose to say during this virtual proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. And remind me again, what position number is this?
Position number 11.
11, thank you. Mr. McLean, is that your client?
What's position 11 again?
Tamishia Mishra.
She's complete.
Okay.
That's
Miss McLeod, is she? I'm sorry, Miss McLeod, could you unmute, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. All right. Have you had an opportunity to speak with Miss Mishra?
I have.
All right. So Miss Mishra is charged with theft by taking from March 3rd of this year. She's been advised of her rights. And any priors, Mr. Howard?
22. Got an open fleeing out of DeKalb County. Open theft by taking out of Clayton County. On probation in state court for simple battery. 2023 probation. 2023 hit and run NOLO. 2023 trespass damage to property conviction. 2022 shoplifting contributing to delinquency of a minor conviction. And some violent convictions. That's all.
Thank you. Miss Mokeke?
Yes, Your Honor. The victim in this case is Mr. Jeremy Morris, who does share a child with the defendant. The victim and the defendant were in the car together and they got into a verbal dispute when the defendant proceeded to grab the victim's phone and run out of the vehicle. The party's minor child with the initials JH was also in the car, and he did confirm that his mother grabbed the phone from the cup holder and ran away. Officers did go to the defendant's home where she promptly closed the door. They did advise that they needed her to return the phone, and she refused to return it. Our office has spoken with the victim, Mr. Morris, who confirms the parties are not in a relationship. They don't live together, but they do share that one child. He confirmed the events in the warrant and stated the defendant returned his phone about 3 days after this incident, and he is okay with having contact with the defendant. The state's recommendation, given her history, which includes a few open cases, is a $1,500 surety bond. There is a concern that she will reoffend upon release. No violent contact with the victim in this case, Mr. Jeremy Morris. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I would just ask the court to sound for Mr. Morris.
Jeremy Morris? All right. Miss Maureen McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. I am asking for a signature bond for my client. She's currently unemployed, Your Honor, and has been unemployed. So she's really not in a position to post bond. And given the fact that the victim has already received its phone back, I am unsure the circumstances under which all of this happened, because they do share a 15-year-old child.
15?
That's what my client.
I'm sorry.
15. A 15-year-old child.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. So I'm requesting a signature bond for my client.
All right. This is going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services, and she's going to be reporting on a twice a month, level 2. No further violent contact with Jeremy Morris. She's to make sure that she doesn't consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. And she will be subject to random screens by pretrial services. Miss Mishra, I'm going to grant you a signature bond, but if you get arrested again for anything else, make sure you bring $2,000 with you when you come back to jail.
That's per judge, Holly.
Yeah, but
thank you, Your Honor.
Position 12, Robertson.
Your Honor, while we're going to that position, I understand that the person that would know the most about Blondie Harris is on Zoom. So if we could do the briefest of breakouts and arrange that, what we were talking about before. Thank you.
Who is that?
That would be, let's see.
Cecilia Johnson?
Is it Miss Johnson?
Yes, it is. However, hello, everybody. I have her team on the phone, her Miss Felicia Anderson. She's with her behavioral health program.
Okay.
And,
We'll address that shortly then. Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Courtroom 2, that's position 12, William Robinson, accused with interference with government property from March 6th of this year, case number 25 CR 1296E. Mr. Robinson, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean, or is it Miss McLeod? Oh, I'm sorry, Miss McLeod, I lost your audio.
It's me, Your Honor.
Okay, got it now. How many priors, Mr. Howard?
27. 2 FTAs from 2024. Open and simple battery out of state court. 2023 FTA probation. 2018 FTA.
All right, thank you. Ms. Mokeke?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened at the jail. An officer noticed that the defendant was bleeding and then proceeded to open the door. Upon opening the door, he saw that the bottom glass of the door had been kicked out. The defendant did tell the officer that he kicked the glass because he was angry that the Ramadan trays had not yet arrived. The state's recommendation, given his history, including those multiple FTAs that you heard, is $1,000 surety bond, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond upon his release.
All right, Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. My client has been in jail since December 22 of last year. So of course he's not working and he has no money for bond. So if the court is disinclined to give him a signature bond, I would ask the court to give him as low a bond as possible because he's really nothing further on.
All right, well, he's currently in custody for, are we just going?
Taking offense that he's in custody for.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the bond's going to be 1,500. It's going to be a surety bond. No violent contact with the jail staff and no damage to property. Otherwise, well, more charges will be followed. Next court date will be March 25th.
Thank you, Honor.
Mr. Dotis, are you ready to address courtroom 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Are they on the Zoom? Yes, okay.
All right, Ms. Tolles? There we go. Please raise your right hand, Ms. Tolles. Do you please unmute?
Okay, there you go.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you translate will be a true and accurate translation with no changes or embellishments?
Yes, Your Honor, I swear.
Thank you. This is State versus Marcos Maldonado Rodriguez.
Este es el caso del Estado contra Marcos Maldonado Rodríguez.
He is charged with 4 misdemeanor offenses: battery, family violence, cruelty in the 3rd degree, criminal trespass causing damage to property, and the 4th charge is battery.
Se le ha imputado 4 cargos. El primero es agresión, violencia en el hogar, maltrato de menores en el 3er grado, daños a propiedad ajena, y el 4º cargo es agresión física.
Incident date is March 11th, 2025, and the case number is 25 CR 1297J.
La fecha del incidente es el 11 de marzo 2025 y el número de caso es 2025 CR 1297.
Mr. Maldonado, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Presently, your counsel is Mr. Dotis.
Señor Maldonado, usted tiene derecho a permanecer callado. Cualquier cosa que diga se puede usar en su contra. Tiene derecho a un abogado. y si no puede costear el servicio de un abogado, se le puede designar uno de oficio. Actualmente, el licenciado Doris es su abogado.
Mr. Howard, does he have a history?
Señor Howard, ¿tiene él antecedentes?
6 total. 2011
Seis,
FTA.
6 en total, una falta de comparecencia en el 2011.
2011 DUI conviction.
En el 2011, una condena por manejar embriagado,
And I didn't see any violence.
pero no vi nada de violencia.
Ms. Mokeke, what's the recommendation? Please
Lic-
pause for the interpreter.
Licenciada Moqueque, ¿cuál sería la recomendación?
Your Honor, the state's recommendation is a $3,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Maria Corpus Paredes, or the minor child, JC.
Su señoría, la recomendación del Estado es una fianza de 3,500, una fianza de caución, ningún contacto adicional con la víctima, María Cortés Paredes, ni el hijo menor de edad, JC.
Stay away from the incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond, that he undergo anger awareness or take a family violence intervention course.
Que no vaya más al lugar del incidente, nada de posesión de armas ni consumo de alcohol y droga mientras está en libertad bajo fianza, y que se somete a una clase de control de enojo o el programa de impedir la violencia en el hogar.
In this case, the defendant is accused of kicking in the victim's door and striking her, causing a bruise to her cheek, a scratch to her chest, and a red mark on her arm.
En este caso, se le ha acusado al acusado de patear la puerta de la víctima y también de pegarle a ella, lo cual ocasionó un moretón en la mejilla. If the interpreter may pause one moment. The scratch was on
her arm.
A bruise on her cheek, a scratch on her arm, and a red mark.
Sorry, a bruise on her cheek, a scratch to her chest, and a red mark on her arm.
Thank you, Ms. McKechnie. Causando un moretón en la mejilla, un arañazo en el pecho y una marca roja en el brazo.
When the defendant kicked in the door struck the victim's 7-year-old niece, causing a mark to her wrist.
Cuando el acusado pateó la puerta para abrirla, la puerta pegó a su sobrina de 7 años, causando una marca en su muñeca.
The parties do share one child, have been broken up for 3 years, and the defendant was intoxicated and upset because the victim has a new boyfriend.
Las partes tienen un hijo en común, llevan 3 años de separación. El acusado estaba embriagado y molesto porque la víctima tiene una nueva pareja.
Mr. Doris, yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Maldonado is 35 years old. As we heard from pre-trial, no violent history, no history in the past 10 years, no FTAs in over 10 years, and no violations of probation.
Sí, licenciado Dodes, sí, su señoría. El acusado tiene 35 años de edad y como escuchó del señor de servicios previo al juicio, no tiene historial de violencia en los últimos 10 años ni ocasiones de falta de comparecencia al tribunal en los últimos 10 años.
Your Honor, I have good contact information for Mr. Maldonado. He has been a resident of the Atlanta area for about 17 years. He also did provide me an accurate address in Roswell, Georgia. I'll update that with the court in the chat as it's separate from what's listed in Odyssey.
Su señoría, tengo buena información de contacto del acusado. Es un residente del estado de Georgia desde hace 17 años y sí me dio su dirección correcta y actualizada en Roswell. Voy a incluir esa información en el chat porque esa dirección es diferente de la que aparece en Odyssey.
And Your Honor, this address is not the incident location. So he understands that he has no reason to go back to the incident location. At this address, he does live with his sister, Anna Cruz. I haven't had a chance to speak with Miss Cruz yet, but she is on Zoom to show her support for her brother.
Y su señoría, esa dirección no es el lugar del incidente, así que él bien sabe que no tiene razón para volver allá. Él vive en esa dirección con su hermana, Ana Cruz. Yo vi que ella estaba aquí conectada, presente en el Zoom. Todavía no he tenido la oportunidad de hablar con ella.
Your Honor, Mr. Maldonado is the father of two children, a 4-year-old that he does share with Miss Corpus, the alleged victim.
Su señoría, el acusado es el padre de 2 hijos, un hijo de 4 años que comparte con la víctima, la señora Corpus.
He is also the father of a 14-year-old that currently resides in Mexico. Your Honor, he does financially provide for both children and does have custody of the 4-year-old during certain times.
Su señoría, él también es el padre de una niña de un hijo de 14 años que vive en México. Él mantiene económicamente a ambos hijos y hay ciertos tiempos que tiene custodia del hijo de 4 años.
And he provides for his family with the construction company that he owns, C&M Concrete.
Y él mantiene la familia con la compañía de construcción del que es dueño, C&M Concrete.
Your Honor, we're asking for a signature bond, given no violent history. We didn't hear from the alleged victim, so I do understand that the state is asking for no further contact. Mr. Maldonado does want to continue being in his child's life. We would ask for no further violent contact with the child or third-party transfer, but we do understand that we will leave it in the discretion of the court. We'd ask for a 1-day anger awareness class instead of the family.
One moment.
Sorry.
As best as you can do, Ms. Tolles, and he'll repeat the rest.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Su señoría, estamos solicitando una fianza bajo palabra. Como ya escucharon, no tiene antecedentes. Seguramente el Estado está pidiendo, perdón, que no tiene antecedentes de violencia. Seguramente el Estado está pidiendo una condición de ningún contacto adicional, pero él sí quisiera formar parte de la vida de su hijo. Entonces, si usted podría disponer una condición de ningún contacto violento adicional y también permitir la transferencia del hijo a través de un tercero. También estamos pidiendo que él asista a una clase de control de enojo. Okay, Mr. Dawes, go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, and Your Honor, again, my client is clear on any stay away orders. He has no reason to return to that address, and he would abide by any other conditions the court deems appropriate.
Y su señoría, le queda claro a mi cliente la orden de mantenerse alejado, no tiene razón para volver a ese domicilio y él está dispuesto a cumplir con todas las condiciones que a usted le parece adecuado.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nada adicional.
Just because an individual does not have a violent background, that doesn't necessarily qualify him for a signature bond. But I'd like to hear from Ana Cruz if she has something to add.
El hecho de que una persona no tenga antecedentes de violencia no significa que cumple los criterios para una fianza bajo palabra, pero quisiera saber de Ana Cruz y escuchar lo que ella tenga que decir.
Miss Cruz, do you need a Spanish interpreter?
Señora
No.
Cruz, ¿necesita el intérprete?
Yeah, I think I'm okay. I'm support here my brother and
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
yes.
If you'd like to tell me what you want me to know, is there anything you want to say or?
No, I'm here to support my brother and I want the best for the child and for the family when people separation sometimes they don't understand well. And
please pause. Do you need to translate that, Ms. Tolles?
no, it's fine.
She's speaking in English, Your Honor.
No, I meant, do you need to translate it for the defendant?
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. I am so sorry. Forgive me.
Okay.
Sí, yo solamente estoy aquí en apoyo de mi hermano. Yo sé que a veces cuando las personas se separan, no entienden. Adelante, señora.
Anything else, Ms. Cruz?
And I want to, if I can help to be a helper, like for right now, probably they know he cannot see the son by directly with her. I don't know if maybe I can help if it's possible, or he don't want to lose his son. He be responsible. I know he's responsible, and they have issues to talk to for so long.
Okay.
Yo no sé si yo puedo servir como ayuda para este caso. Yo sé que probablemente él no puede ver a su hijo con ella, pero si yo pudiera hablar, si yo pudiera ayudar de alguna forma para que él vea a su hijo, porque él quiere estar en la vida de su hijo, es un padre responsable.
Thank you. My greatest concern is are the allegations set forth in the warrant and the alleged violence that was demonstrated according to the police officer.
Gracias. Mi mayor inquietud son las alegaciones de violencia que aparecen en la orden de arresto y la violencia que se manifestó.
There were also other alleged collateral victims, including a young child.
Y además, había presuntas víctimas adicionales que incluye un niño menor de edad.
And this whole incident took place at a property that does not belong to the defendant.
Y todo el incidente sucedió en un local que no pertenece al acusado.
On the battery family violence, it's a $3,000 surety bond.
En cuanto al cargo de violencia en el hogar, es una fianza de caución de $3,000.
On the cruelty is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3.
En cuanto al maltrato de menores, una fianza bajo palabra de $2,000 a través de los servicios previos al juicio, nivel 3.
The criminal trespass is a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3.
El cargo de invasión de propiedad ajena, como daños a propiedad ajena.
And
Una fianza, one moment, Your Honor, I'm so sorry. Una fianza bajo palabra de $1,000 a través de los servicios previos al juicio, nivel 3.
And the battery is $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services level 3.
Y también el último cargo de violencia física, una fianza bajo palabra de $2,000 a través de los servicios previos al juicio, nivel 3.
This is a $9,000 split bond.
Es una fianza dividida de $9,000.
He has to pay on the $3,000 portion out of his own pocket or through a bonding company.
Tendrá que pagar de su bolso la porción de $3,000 a una compañía de fianzas.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is a $8,000 split bond. I can't even add.
Ay, perdón, calculé mal. Es una fianza de $8,000, una fianza dividida.
And the $5,000 signature bond, once he is released, he will report to pretrial once a week.
Y en cuanto a la porción de la fianza, que es bajo palabra de $5,000, él se reportará con los servicios previos al juicio una vez a la semana, una vez que salga.
While this case is open and pending, he shall have no contact with Maria Corpus Paredes
Mientras el caso está abierto y pendiente, no tendrá contacto adicional
and
con María Corpus Paredes
her sisters Maria de Los Angeles
ni con su hermana María de Los Ángeles,
and Marisol C. Paredes.
ni con Marisol C. Paredes.
This will include no contact with their children and with the child MM that he shares with Maria.
Eso incluye ningún contacto con los niños y con el hijo MM, el cual comparte con María.
Mr. Doris, I'm assuming they're not married and they're not estranged, correct?
Licenciado, supongo que no están casados ni separados, correcto.
I meant not estranged spouses.
Me refiero a que no son cónyuges separados, correcto.
Since he is not married to Miss Maria, he has absolutely no rights to their son, MM.
Como no es casado con la señora María, no tiene ningún derecho en absoluto con su hijo, MM.
In Georgia, he will need to file a legitimation action in the Superior Court.
En el estado de Georgia, él tendrá que tramitar una petición para que lo declaren como padre legítimo del menor en el Tribunal Superior.
And there he would need to obtain a court order to establish paternity, visitation, and joint custody.
Y a través de eso, tendrá que conseguir una orden judicial para establecer paternidad, el régimen de visitas y la custodia o patria potestad.
So until he gets that court order, he is to stay away from Maria, her son, her sisters, and their children.
Entonces, hasta que él consiga esa orden judicial, tendrá que mantenerse alejado de María, sus hermanas, su hijo de él y los hijos de ellas.
He's also to stay away from the entire apartment complex at 1448 Raintree Way in Roswell, Georgia.
También que se mantenga alejado de todo el complejo de apartamentos en el 1448 de la Raintree Way. And Your Honor, if the interpreter may ask, was that Roswell, Georgia?
Yes, it is.
In Roswell, Georgia. Thank you.
Within 30 days of being released, he will enroll in a domestic violence program.
En los primeros 30 días de haber salido en libertad de la cárcel, tendrá que inscribirse en un programa para impedir la violencia doméstica.
Attend and complete all 26 classes without missing or skipping any.
Asistir y completar todas las 26 clases sin saltar o faltar a ninguna de ellas.
Thank you. Oh, next date is March 25th.
Su próxima cita judicial es el 23 de marzo.
And anything else, Mr. Doris, for this case before I release the interpreter?
I don't know if the interpreter is needed for this, but I did want to let Ms. Bridgewater know that I put in a chat direct message Mr. Maldonado's updated address.
All right, Ms. Bridgewater, did you get the updated address?
Okay, Mr. Dotis, will you please send that to Miss Grace?
Oh, of course.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Tolles, thank you so much. You're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor. You all have a great day.
You too, thank you. Courtroom 1, we are concluded. Thank you. Ms. Cruz, you're free to go. Okay, where am I going to? Deputy Milton, good afternoon. Who do we have?
Position 13, Miss Rogers.
Is this Cheryl Rogers?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Case 25 CR 0012641. Ms. Rogers is charged with simple battery from March 9th, 2025. Ms. Rogers, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is going to be Mr. Michael McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
4 total. 2013 probation. 08 simple assault conviction and an FTA.
Thank you. Is it Miss Mokeke or Miss Fawcett?
It's me, Your Honor.
Thank you. Yes, Miss Mokeke?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on the 9th of this month at Grady Hospital. The victim in this case is Miss Tawana Hill, who is a nurse at Grady. The victim observed other nurses struggling to restrain the defendant to the bed due to her being combative. When the victim went to help, the defendant sat up and spit in her face. The state's recommendation for Ms. Rogers is a signature bond, no further contact with Tawana Hill, stay away from Grady except for medical necessity, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. A social worker visit may be appropriate for Ms. Rogers.
Do we have a current address on Miss Rogers?
Let's see.
I have this Glen Hollow location.
I believe the Glen Hollow is old, but we do have an address somewhere. Yes.
Could you unmute your Zoom panel, please? Miss Rogers, I can give you a signature bond if you have a valid address.
Yes, I do.
Where?
It's 1940 Fisher Road.
Repeat the number.
1940 Fisher Road. That's southeast Atlanta.
Is that apartment E38?
Yeah. No, it's 38B.
38B. Add it back.
As in boy, yeah. And that's Atlanta, Georgia. 30315.
Mr. McLean, did you get the whole address?
Yes, Your Honor. 1940 Fisher Road, Southeast Atlanta, 30315, unit 38B. I've got her sister Cynthia's email.
Okay. Miss Rogers, your bond is going to be $2,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. Within 15 days of being released, I would like you to undertake a behavioral health evaluation, and you can go to any healthcare provider. All right. Miss Grace, can you switch off the video for Kim Barnett? I don't need to see her doing laundry. Switch off her video. Thank you. All right. As I was saying, you are to undergo a behavioral health evaluation and submit yourself to any treatment that's required. You can go to any healthcare provider except Grady Hospital. You can go to 10 Park Place, you can go to Emory, but you are to have no violent contact with the staff and the personnel at these medical facilities. You're also to have no contact with Tawana Hall. You're only allowed back at Grady if you have a verified appointment or if you're seeking emergency treatment. In that case, if you are at Grady, you're to have no violent contact with any of the medical staff and personnel. Your next court date is going to be sent to your address at Fisher Road. And don't forget to report to pretrial once a month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4, Mr. Dole.
Christian Doss is accused of willful obstruction of an officer, obscured or missing license plate, and misdemeanor possession of marijuana from March 10th of this year, and case number 25 CR 1289C. All right, is Mr. Doss the individual in courtroom 2?
Yes, this is him.
All right. Mr. Doss, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
13. You got an open drug case out of Superior Court. You want the case number?
Yes, please.
24 PR 006 872. I
Okay.
got an open case out of Cherokee County for shoplifting and trespass. Clayton County, shoplifting. On probation in state court for shoplifting. It's 24 CR. I got 4 zeros, 81J. On probation in Clayton, I'm in Fulton as well. Participation in criminal street gang, armed robbery, hijacking, ag assault. It's 14 SC 125801. Wanted out of Cobb County for assault. Has a probation hold. 2024 FTA and probation. That's it.
Miss Fawcett?
Yes, Your Honor. The facts of the case are that the officers, there was a car scene with a handwritten tag. They pulled the defendant pulled into a parking lot, and the officers initiated a stop. The defendant got out of the car and was ordered to get back in the car. Defendant fled on foot, ignoring several verbal commands to stop. Once officers stopped and detained the defendant, 8.4 grams of marijuana were found in the path of where he ran. The recommendation is that there be a split bond for the first charge of obstruction, $1,000 surety bond, and for the remaining 2 charges, $500 each signature bond, for an aggregate total of $2,000.
Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Doss is 26, lives on Largo Lane, 30331 at a certain house number. He isn't going anywhere this week. It looks like he's got a VOP hold and a different hold, which I don't know what it is. But he would like to ask the court to give him a total signature bond in this case. He works at a warehouse. He's worked there for a half a year. Before that, he was 4 years working for one of our local moving companies. Your Honor, he has a GED education. So he asked the court, considering all circumstances, to grant a complete signature bond if possible. Thank you.
Okay. Unfortunately, his 2024 FTA bars him from consideration for a signature bond. On the willful obstructions, 1,000. The obscured missing license plate is 250. The misdemeanor possession of marijuana is going to be 500. That's going to be a $1,750 surety bond. Next court date will be March 25th, subject to any holds. Thank you. Next case.
Hold on, sir. Hold on. Position 6, Harris.
All right, and who is Mr. Harris's attorney? Is that Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Antoine Harris is accused of disorderly conduct and willful obstruction from March 11th of this year, case number 25 CR 1292Y. Mr. Harris, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Ms. McLeod. Mr. Howard?
What do you got? You're on probation, possession of cocaine with intent, possession of marijuana with intent. 16 SC 147533.
147533.
Yeah. And I got a 16 SC 142849. There's more drugs. History is mostly drugs.
Okay.
2020 probation.
Thank you. Ms. Fawcett?
Yes. The facts of the case are that officers were patrolling in a known drug area when they noticed 2 men loitering in front of the location. They were not purchasing anything from the store or getting any gas for their vehicle. The officers approached the men and found crack cocaine. Meanwhile, other parties, including the defendant, came up and began filming the officers and acting irate. The defendant was spewing abusive and inappropriate language, inciting a breach of peace among all the parties on the scene. Defendant was detained and he physically resisted arrest, knocking off the body-worn camera of the officers. The recommendation is $1,000 signature bond for both charges with a total amount of $2,000 and to stay away from 1981 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard in Atlanta.
What's the location called? What kind of station was it?
It appears to be a gas station. Let me check one moment.
Convenience store gas station is my understanding, Your Honor.
Okay. And your client is, let's see now. Okay. Anything else, Ms. McLeod?
Yeah, I'm okay with the signature bond. I am not okay with the stay away. My client is disabled, and that's probably the nearest store to him. So to ask him to stay away from that store just because he was filming an interaction with the police seems sort of overreach, in my opinion. So I would ask that he not be asked to stay away from the store because he really didn't do anything in relation to the store. According to the warrant, he was just filming something that was going on.
He's on probation. He's got FTA. He's got multiple cases. Getting a phone in your hand doesn't entitle you to be make-believe paparazzi. I am seriously concerned about this framing of the context of what happened, but I'm going to go with the signature bond. The disorderly conduct is going to be $3,000, which was the original surety bond, and the willful obstruction is going to be $3,000. That's a $6,000 signature bond through pretrial services level 1. And yes, he's going to stay away from 1981 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard. And what's the name of the store?
I'm not sure the name of the store, Your Honor.
All right. If he returns to that store at 1981 Joseph E. Boone, he will be arrested for trespass, and this $6,000 signature bond will be revoked. No violent contact and no violent interaction with law enforcement, and his next court date will be sent to his current address. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I have one case that's not on the calendar, Mr. Desmond Sumlin.
Mr. Sumlin's case was NOD.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have Karaya Martin and Nafal Al Sadi, Daniel Burnett.
Mr. Sadiq bond was posted.
Okay.
Mr. Burnett, we were still holding on private counsel.
Mr. Al Sadi, I thought he got no bond. Did he posted bond?
Yes, but he has a hold. Yes, but he has a hold for Cherokee County. And then I have another person, he was a buying over, and he's not on the calendar, Mr. Isaiah Ferrero.
Your Honor, we filed a nod of that case.
I didn't.
I'm sorry, Ms. Fawcett, what did you do in that case?
A nod.
NOD?
NOD?
Yes, I'm sorry, NOD.
Okay, what about, so Al Sadi is not in the courtroom?
No, it was felt that he wasn't necessary because the only advantage to anyone was just to advise them that he had a hold. We figured he already knew that.
Well, I'd like to add a bond order to that case that he needs to stay away from Emma Wright and the location at Riverside in Roswell, Georgia.
We don't have him.
Okay. Well, Miss, I don't know who's the prosecutor, Miss Mukaki or Miss Fawcett for position 1?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, you all need to get in touch with the alleged victim and recommend to her that she will probably need to get a TPO from Superior Court.
Yes, Your Honor.
bonded out, then I can issue the restrictions. Okay, Danielle Barnett, any chance of?
They're holding, but position number 8 was reset for the compass calendar.
Yeah, we got that. So we have position 3 and position 10 to be addressed. Any luck?
You holding on position 10? They getting ready to log on now. We went to medical to get her.
Okay, and
Position 3, we still holding for his attorney.
all right.
State, what happened with Beasley that was on the pull sheet?
Bond was posted.
Thank you.
Okay, so while we're waiting for positions 3 and position 10, position 1, Al Saadi, posted bond. That case is further notice. He's still detained pursuant to a Cherokee County hold. State has been advised to relate that to the victim and to recommend that she seeks a TPO. Position 2, Orrin Barnes, is $1,000 surety, reset to March 25th. Position 3, we're holding for private counsel. Position 4, DOS, is a $3,000, excuse me, a $1,750 surety. Reset date is March 25th. 5, Grizzles, a $1,500 surety, reset to March 25th. Position 6, Antoine Harris, is a $6,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 7, Blondie Harris is a $1,000 surety. Do we want to address, well, let me go through the candidate and I'll come back to Blondie Harris. No, was it Blondie Harris?
Yes, Your Honor. All those people from the other place, not the group home, but also our ACT team are available.
We will put that into a breakout. All right, David Lowe is been reset to March 20th competency calendar with a $1,000 surety bond. 9, Maldonado is a $8,000 split bond, level 3 with DBIP requirement. Position 10, we're holding. Position 11, Mishra is a 2,000 signature bond pretrial level 2 per judge. Position 12, Robinson is a $1,500 surety, reset March 25th. And 13, Cheryl Rogers is a $2,000 signature bond to pretrial level 1 with a BHET requirement.
What's the contact for Rogers?
No violent contact with hospital staff.
Thank you.
And no contact with Tawana Hill. Okay. All those who are with Blondie Harris's case. We have courtroom 2. Who's that? Oh, that's waiting on private counsel?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Those who are waiting to go into to deal with Blondie Harris, that's Miss Mokeke, Mr. McLean. Who else?
I believe a Miss Johnson, a Miss Kirk. Let's see, there was else.
Cecilia Johnson, put on your video. Who else?
There was a Miss Kirk, and also the name of the ACT head was who else?
Folks, I'm about to address.
Felicia Anderson and Maureen is on the line as well. Is on the chat.
Felicia Anderson, please start your video. And Maureen? Maureen, I don't see a Maureen.
It was there. I guess she hung, I don't know, I guess she hung up. But Felicia Anderson, Charlene Kirk.
All right, folks, you need to turn your video on so we'll know who needs to go into a breakout. Okay. Miss Grace, can you place Mr. McLean, myself, Miss Mokeke, Cecilia Johnson into a breakout, please?
Felicia Anderson is still there.
She's not starting a video, so I can only put those whose video started.
Okay. Just a moment. She's calling. She must have got in.
It's Grace. It's Grace. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Miss Anderson, can you start your video? Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you need to start your video.
Okay, let me see. It says my default microphone. Okay, let me see. Am I in now?
Nope, we can't see you, and the judge wants you in, but you have to be able to show yourself.
I'm trying.
Attorney Melnick, who case are you in for?
Mr. Barnett.
Okay, thank you. Keela, Miss Keela,
Yes,
who are you here for?
this is Felicia Anderson.
Okay, you would, okay. They're
Okay.
out now.
All right. Miss Anderson, can you hear me?
Yes, I apologize for the delay.
Okay, no problem. Miss Grace, mute the panel, Miss Felicia Anderson.
You can join the AA room.
Mr. Melnick, I'll address you shortly. Right.
Thank you.
All right. Miss Anderson, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Blondie Harris's bond is going to be set at 2,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial level 1. She will need to be released to the care of Felicia Anderson, who will pick her up from the jail and return her to a group home. She will visit pretrial services once a month with company of Felicia Anderson. She's not allowed to come down to pretrial alone. She will also need to report to a healthcare provider within 48 hours of being released and be compliant with all treatment and medication. At all times, she will diligently be compliant with her treatment and medication. And if she gets arrested again, or if she fails to report to court when summoned, she will, her signature bond of 2,000 will be surrendered and changed to either a cash bond or a surety bond. She's not allowed to travel on her own until she is compliant and stable with her treatment and medication. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons and firearms. Thank you.
Judge,
Yes?
am I able to speak?
No, that's it. Thank you. We're good. Please confer with Mr. McLean, the defense counsel, and with Miss, was it Miss Cecilia? Yeah, Johnson, if you all want to go over the details. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on, Daniel Burnett is case number 25 CR 1288G, accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property. And this is 2 counts of that particular charge plus reckless conduct from March 6, 2025. Mr. Barnett has been advised of his right to remain silent, and his attorney is Mr. Jonathan Melnick. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
13. Got an open case in Judge Carnicel, 22 SC 184542. Stalking, 4 counts of ag stalking. And they placed a judicial hold. 2022 stalking that was dismissed out of Cobb County. 2013 obstruction conviction.
All right. Who's prosecuting? Ms. Mokeke?
That would be me, Your Honor. This is an incident stemming from March 6th at Old Wheat Street in Atlanta. Officers responded to the location on the 7th after receiving a 911 call about a dispute between a group of homeless individuals living on Old Wheat Street and an alleged security personnel who was working for a construction site in the area. Officers arrived at the location and they met with the superintendent of Sovereign Cooper Construction, who told them that they are in the process of building an apartment in the location. And so they hired third-party security company Divine Authority Agency to secure the construction site after hours. Officers then made contact with multiple homeless victims who all reported that a security guard by the name of Da Vinci, later identified as the defendant, had routinely been harassing them, threatening them, and intentionally damaging their belongings for the past 2 weeks. A victim by the name of Shanika Dansby showed officers 3 separate videos of the most recent incident from the 6th. In one of them, you can clearly see the defendant yelling and using a blade to cut through multiple tents occupied by the individuals who were there. In another video, you can see the defendant with what appears to be a long gun on his side. It should be noted that the victim stated that he didn't point the gun at anyone at that time. He just had it on his person. A victim by the name of Letitia Morris expressed that she was afraid because she was afraid that the blade would cut her or someone else because she was actually inside of the tent while the defendant was using that blade to cut into those tents. Victims Roy McLeod and Anthony Atwater reported that 2 weeks prior, an unknown person had shot multiple rounds towards the area where the tents were located, with some of those rounds actually putting holes in the sides of the tent. The shots did come from the direction of the construction site, and the parties believe that it was the defendant who shot the gun because he had repeatedly yelled at them that he had a gun and he wasn't afraid to use it. And one of the videos showed to officers, you can hear the defendant saying a similar phrase that, he has a gun and he's not afraid to use that weapon. The victim stated that they didn't call 911 at the time because they were, of course, afraid, and they also didn't think the police would be able to do anything to help. A woman by the name of Angela Pitts donated 8 of those tents to the individuals for community use, for anyone in that community to use those tents, and she states that all 8 of those tents were in fact damaged. 3 of the victims were able to identify the defendant in a lineup. The state's recommendation for Mr. Barnett is going to be based on the incredibly concerning facts of this case, as well as the defendant's history, which, as you heard, does include that open aggravated stalking for stalking his ex-girlfriend for several months. So given his history, we can see this is not the first time he's exhibited this type of concerning and threatening behavior to an individual. There are, of course, concerns for the safety and well-being of the general public. Thankfully, in this incident, no one was hurt, but that could easily have not been the case. I will also note that he was out on bond for that ag stalking, and there has been a motion to revoke that bond that has been filed by the DA's office. Our office spoke with Ms. Pitts, the woman who had provided those tents for the individuals, and she stated that the defendant destroyed all of them, as she stated in the report, and that some people have fortunately pitched in to help, and that those tents have thankfully been replaced. The state's recommendation is a $100,000 surety bond, given the severity of what happened here. No further contact with any of the victims involved. There are multiple victims. I will send all those names to Ms. Bridgewater. stay away from that incident location, surrender all firearms that are in his possession, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol. The BHET might be appropriate for this defendant, but I will leave that to his defense counsel. And I can list out those names right now if you want, Your Honor.
You may.
The victims that he is to have no contact with are Shanika Dansby, Eric Scott, Letitia
Sorry, Shanika Dansby, Eric Scott,
Letitia Morris,
Letitia Morris,
Marvin Seals,
mhm,
Rodney Johnson, Roy McLeod, Anthony Atwater, and Miss Angela Pitts.
Any of these individuals associated with the Sovereign Construction Company?
No, Your Honor. These are all either victims or witnesses of the incident, and then Miss Angela Pitts is, of course, the individual who provided those tents.
Okay. Mr. Melnick?
Sorry, Judge. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Mhm.
Judge, I think that that is a ridiculously high bond recommendation given the nature of these charges. We are not here to try this case, but what I will say is that Mr. Barnett absolutely was hired by a construction company, and I have the evidence that I can show to the solicitor's office to show that this incident took place on the property where the construction company had specifically asked him to engage in security to secure the property in question. I think the last conviction that we heard about from pretrial was from 2013. I will say there has been a history involving these stalking allegations. While Mr. Hightower characterized that as a dismissal from Cobb County involving these individuals that the solicitor, Ms. Mulcahy, I'm sorry, had mentioned. It was not a dismissal, it was an acquittal after a jury trial. Mr. Barnett was found not guilty of the alleged stalking in Cobb County. There is not a pretrial hold or a judicial hold on Mr. Barnett right now. And obviously, I know this is a case that has drawn some public consternation. Unfortunately, not all the facts and circumstances are being revealed and discussed. And I know, like I said, we're not here to try the case. But what Mr. Barnett was engaged in doing was done at the behest of a number of the people that actually were residing at this encampment. There were apparently some people that were engaged in activities that the other homeless individuals disapproved of. And that was why Mr. Barnett was trying to clear out some of the area and some of those individuals from this area.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that at all. That is probably one of the vaguest sentences I've heard all day.
So basically, there were some homeless people who said there are other guys here, other people here who are bothering us. We want you to get rid of them. And so Mr. Barnett was just accommodating.
People who used Mr. Barnett.
It's not the same security people. Mr. Barnett was hired as security for the construction company.
But he's not security for the homeless people.
He is not security for the homeless people. That's correct.
But you're telling me that these unidentified homeless people used him as a strong arm to get rid of some other problematic homeless people?
Judge, I was retained on this case 24 hours ago. Obviously, I can't provide you names, okay? And this is a case that's still under investigation, but Mr. Barnett was not willfully engaged in what he perceived to be the destruction of property with criminal intent. He was doing what other people had asked him to do.
And Your Honor, that open case that we mentioned, that aggravated stalking, is 22 SC.
No, I don't.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, what I'm asking you to do is grant a total bond in the amount of $10,000 and just make it a condition of his bond that he stay away from the location. He doesn't want to go back to work for these people with the situation arising to the level that it has. And I did want to say it sounds obviously whenever you hear about shots being fired, that's very concerning.
Oh,
Mr.
no,
Burnett adamantly denies that. He denies that that is ever anything that he did. And what it sounds like from the recitation of facts that was provided by the state is that nobody can identify him as having ever shot a gun. But he will agree also as a condition of bond not to possess any firearms and to turn in any firearms that don't exist in the first place over to the state.
The alleged use of a firearm is probably the fifth or sixth troubling factor in a litany of factors that I'm considering. On count one, criminal trespass, damage to property is going to be 20,000. Count two is 20,000. Count three is going to be 20,000. This is a $60,000 surety bond. No further contact with Roy McLeod, Shanika Dansby, Eric Scott, Letitia Morris. I think the next person is Morris Fields, Rodney Johnson, Anthony Atwater, and Angela Pitts. He is to stay away from all property where the Sovereign Cooper Construction Company operates. He's to not possess any weapons, no firearms. If he owns or possesses any firearms, they have to be surrendered to the authorities for destruction. He's not allowed to have them on his person, on his, in any vehicle he occupies, anywhere near him, or even in his residence. He does have that open 22 SC case, and yes, the DA's office did file a motion to revoke his bond, so that is pending right now. His next court date is going to be March 25th, and of course, he needs to stay 500 yards away from the property known as Old Wheat Street and Fort Street. So he cannot be anywhere near that intersection, 500 yards away.
Judge, when I looked, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt whoever was talking.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay.
If you don't mind, please. We have Investigator Sauls here. She wanted to speak with you, Your Honor, really quick about something she wanted to. Sorry.
I'm sorry about what?
How you doing, Judge?
Investigator, could you give me a moment, please? Just one moment. Thank you. No problem. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Melnick. What do you want to say?
When I looked his case up on the clerk of court's website, it said it was assigned to Judge Mather. So is that March 25th date?
No,
Is that
March 25th is going to be on the SAP calendar, probably with Judge Morrow.
okay? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
All right. All right. Investigator, sorry, did you want to add anything?
Yes, ma'am. The city is asking that one of the.
Could I have you under oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
The city is asking that one of the conditions of the bond be that he also stay, they're requesting that he stay about 1,000 feet away from the site of the encampment and the church.
What is that address?
I know it's Ebenezer Baptist Church. I'm not sure that it sits right in front of Wheat Street though.
Okay, he's required to stay 500 yards away. So I'm sorry, guys, I do metric. So 1 yard is 3 feet. So what's that? 15,000 feet?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll put it with you. Okay, so yeah, he's gonna be required to stay 500 yards away. That's the length of 5 football fields. And it includes the Ebenezer Church. Yeah, he cannot be anywhere near that location.
Copy that. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Melnick, next court date is March 25th. Unless he bonds out, then it'll be further noticed. Thank you. Okay, so was there anyone else who? Okay, so with
we still have position number 10, Ms. Martin.
oh
Right.
yeah, any luck with that?
He's here.
He's here. Okay. All right, this is State versus Kyria Martin, case number 25 CR 1293J. Ms. Martin, you've been accused of battery from March 3rd, 2025. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney if you cannot afford one. Mr. Dotis, is it going to be you?
Yes, Judge.
All right, Mr. Dotis is your appointed counsel. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
No.
Okay. First arrest, Ms. Mokeke?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident is from the 3rd of March at South Atlanta High School. The victim in this case is a minor with the initials JH. The victim had gotten into a fight with the defendant's sister, another minor with the initials MJ, earlier in the day. The defendant then proceeded to find the victim in the first floor conference room of the school, where officials had told her to stay while they continued to figure out what was going on. The defendant proceeded to attack her in that conference room, and staff and officers had to come in and separate the parties. The victim sustained lacerations and welts on her back, her face, and her neck. All 3 students were suspended. We have spoken to the victim's mother, Ms. Jamise Hill, who states that her daughter and another student had had issues prior and no contact order was placed against them. She states that the student MJ, who her daughter had gotten into a fight with earlier in the day, is the cousin of the student that her daughter had initially had an altercation with. She states that her daughter doesn't know MJ or the defendant and had never had an interaction with them prior to this incident. She did confirm the events in the warrant and stated that the day after this incident, the defendant and some other girls came to their residence. They were standing outside their building and telling the victim to come outside, and they were also threatening her. She states that she wants the defendant to have no further contact with her daughter. The state's recommendation, given this is her first arrest, is for a signature bond. We would ask for no further violent contact while the parties are inside of the school building. We would ask for no further contact with the victim when they are outside of school. Stay away from that victim's residence. We would ask the court to impose a curfew, that the defendant takes some anger awareness classes, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. It does look like she is 17 and will be turning 18 next month. I would ask the court to sound for Ms. Jamise Hill, who is the victim's mother.
All right. Ms. Hill, Jamise Hill. She's here on video.
Yes, I am here. Hello, how are you? Everything that she
Raise the right hand. Other right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Now, this is March. And what grade is she in?
My daughter?
Yep.
She's in 10th grade.
Okay. Does she share any classes with JH and MJ?
Not to my knowledge, no, they do not.
And what time is school over?
3:30, I believe.
Okay. And what time does she need to be at school?
8. My daughter catches the bus at 8 o'clock in the morning to go to school.
Are MJ or JH on the bus?
Not together, no.
So they're not in the same neighborhood?
No. She's never had an encounter with her before.
All right. Well, it only takes once.
Mm-hmm.
Bond is going to be set at $5,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services. Miss Jamise Hill, Mr. Howard, I'm going to have the parent co-sign this bond because Miss Martin is under 18.
And Your Honor, if I may, Miss Martin's mother, Tamika Sears, is present on Zoom, and I did speak to her about the need to. I'm sorry.
I thought she was the mother.
No, this is the
No, Your
victim's mother.
The victim's mother.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Thank you. All right. Let me talk to Tamika Sears then. Gosh.
And Your Honor, I spoke with Miss Sears. I'm happy to speak and advocate for Miss Martin.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, Miss Martin is 17 years old. As I stated, her mom is present. She is living with mom. I have good contact with her. Your Honor, she does go to the same school as the alleged victim, but she is dual enrollment. She's in 12th grade, so it is her senior year at South Atlanta, but she spends half of her time at Atlanta Tech, where she's studying aviation maintenance. Your Honor, she's fine. She wants to have no contact. We're not expecting any other interactions with the alleged victim. So she's fine with no further contact and then no further violent contact with the few periods and for the few months left that she will be at South Atlanta. Your Honor, she does also work at the Fox Theater doing security. That's not a set schedule. That's just when productions are available. So we would ask that
She's
Your Honor,
gonna
we'd ask for no curfew, but if there is, we would ask that she be allowed to work.
no, she's gonna be on a curfew. I have grave concerns about this alleged conduct. $5,000 signature bond through pretrial, and I'm so sorry, Ms. Sears will have to come and co-sign this bond, or if Ms. Sears, if you want to put your email address to,
Your Honor, I'll send it.
okay, send it to Mr. Howard. He'll need to send her the form for the co-signer.
PD should send it to her.
Okay, no further contact with JH, no further contact with MJ. While she attends South Atlanta High School, she's to have no violent contact with JH and MJ, but once she's outside, she's to go immediately home. She will be subject to a curfew from 4:30 p.m. till 7:30 a.m. every day. And then if she wants to work on weekends, those non-curfew hours are available to her. So it'll have to be after 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. because she needs to be home by 4 p.m. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. She will report to pretrial twice a month. That's a level 2. And she will attend and complete 12 anger management classes.
And Your Honor, she is dual enrolled. I'm not sure what her class schedule is at Atlanta Tech, but with the curfew, if any of her classes go past 4 p.m.
She's allowed to step out of a curfew if it's to attend classes.
Thank you, Judge.
But the violent contact, no contact remain in place.
Understood. And then to confirm, I'm sending Mr. Howard the contact information, correct?
Miss Sears, you're going to be co-signing your daughter's bond. And Miss Carrier Martin, if you want to have a prosperous future, I would encourage you to comply with the conditions of the bond. Any violations of these conditions can result in your $5,000 bond being revoked or surrendered. So the next time you're in jail, your mom would have to pay $5,000 to get you out of jail. I'm very serious. I'm expecting you to comply, and I'm expecting you to have no more trouble at school. Understood? All right. Next court date will be sent to her current address. Thank you.
I'll send you the link for you to send to the mother.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, I see what
And
you're saying.
also, can I get the spelling of the mother's name to go on the bond order? If you will put that in the chat right now.
Okay.
I will.
Holly, it's Tameka, Tameka, and Sears, like the department store.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. So position 3 was the $60,000 surety bond, reset dates March 25th. And position 10 was a 5,000 signature bond to pretrial level 2 cosigner required and curfew and anger management classes. Okay, folks, anything else? Did you want me to go with the calendar again? No? Okay, thank you. We're concluded. Oh, hang on. I had a Carrie Hatfield. What case was she here for?
Who?
I remember saying that too. Let me see if I have notes.
That's the name in a police report of an alleged victim of somebody that I think I had.
That was position number 5.
Second biggest sentence I've heard this afternoon.
I remember reading that name. So if I was reading the police report, it had to be my case. But that was an alleged victim somewhere.
Miss Hatfield.
Position number 5, Your Honor.
Okay. And that was Jared Grizzle. Miss Grizzle, yeah, I think we had a no further contact with you for him.
That's correct.
All right. Did you have anything to add, Miss Hatfield? No? Okay, you have a good day. Thank you. Miss Cecilia Johnson, did you have any further questions? Okay. All right, Ms. Grace, concluded. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.